So Dreamland, the title of the album. How did you come up with the title for the track, though? And why is it the title of the album as well?
Yeah, it was a really good question. And I remember as a child waking up, I lived in a very disciplined house where we had to work very hard. And so I remember things like maths by candlelight when I was very young, and practicing the piano for a certain number of hours a day, and all the rest of that. And the thing that I guess was slightly odd is that we're all allowed to have TVs in our rooms. I remember at the time thinking that's kind of odd, actually. But maybe it's my dad didn't, maybe it's the fact that they didn't have a TV in their room when they were little. So that's one thing that he allowed us, and I was really grateful for that. And I remember waking up one day and the TV was on when I woke up, and I heard a score from a film, and it was called Splendor in the Grass with Warren Beatty. And it was lush, and it was beautiful, and it was so exotic, it almost seemed alien, totally alien. The film was beautiful, but it was more than that. It represented something to me that I wanted to aspire to, and something I wanted to be closer to. And so I wanted to write a piece of music, I suppose, that resonated with the feeling that I had at that time as a young boy, waking up to see this movie on my TV. And the title of Dreamland came to me, I think it might have come via my daughter, my children, my fiercest but most trusted critics, and I often consult with them about titles. And I think my daughter came to me with how about Dreamland, she said. And immediately it struck. And that's everything I wanted to say about the album. So it became the title track of the album, and I was really, really pleased with that piece of music.
Nice, yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. How did you come up with the theme for Dreamland?
So how did I come up with the theme for Dreamland? Well, I think it's more harmonic rather than melodic at that time. So the idea of then from there, so often the harmony comes before the melody. And with that piece, again, it's trying to express those chordal progressions, very subtly shifting chordal progressions, trying to embellish with a melody. And I wanted the melody to be sort of interwoven in the hands, but I wanted it, again, to be simple. I wanted it to sound simple, and I wanted it to be hummable as well. And that's something that really lives and travels with me wherever I go. And I don't think it's I don't look at the fact that my music is melodic and hummable as a sort of dirty word. I remember writing something years ago, being very proud of it. I think it might have been orchestral piece or something, playing it to my father-in-law, Les. And he just looked at me sort of blankly and said, Alexis, that's great, but where are the tunes? Can I whistle it? I can't whistle it. And I think I might have gone into a little sulk at that time, but actually it was the best thing he could have said. This is before I was doing any of this, and as many composers do, living in their own world, playing to an audience of one. And actually I wanted more than that. I wanted to touch people with my music. And so coming back to melody and keeping that uppermost in my mind, is there something that people can take away from this, something they will keep coming back to? When I'm playing at home and my wife or my two children then sing back, a tune that I may have been playing, I kind of log that in my head, and I think, yes, I might go back to that one. I might return to that one. So with the melody, after Dreamland, to answer your question directly, harmony first, melody second, but always trying to just keep it at its simplest.
Amazing. It's so nice that you talk about like your children being like your critics and things like that.
Very fierce. Did I say fierce critics?
Yeah.
Fierce.
I mean, it must have been so nice having your daughter in the music video as well.
It was lovely. It was a really special day. And for us, I guess it was a kind of sequel to Bluebird, which she also starred in. Difference with Dreamland, of course, is I wasn't in it. I was not required. But she did a wonderful job, and we're in this abandoned kind of factory, offices, derelict. And I wanted the dance to not directly correlate with the music. I wanted there to be punctuated with, I suppose, moments of angst, and which is what it did beautifully. And it was just such a really special day, actually, to spend time with her. And we got some lovely photos. She often talks about it and refers to it. But working with my daughters, I've done on many occasions, classic Brits. You can edit that. Classic Brits. And Royal Albert Hall, we did a performance there. Bluebird. It's just so special because I'm hoping that these are things that she'll remember.
Nice. Oh, yeah, I remember the Brits performance.
Yeah, thank you.
So you talk about angst within the music of Dreamland. Is that not a bit of a oxymoron?
Yeah, it is. But I wanted the music to live on its own, and I wanted the dance and the movement to be somehow dissonant with the music, so as to elevate the melodic content of the music. I didn't want it to live as it did with Bluebird in a totally complementary way. It was a much more traditional balletic kind of interpretation of the music, and I wanted Dreamland to be interpreted through sort of contemporary modern ballet, a modern ballet style or derivative of, living with the music to represent a kind of more contemporary interpretation. I'm a big fan of dance. I used to work in dance many years ago, not as a dancer, although you're looking at me now thinking, surely he was a dancer, but no. So I used to be a repetiteur, and I worked with Ballet Rambert and Royal Ballet Company, and I absolutely loved those days. And so dance is very close to my heart. And the fact that my daughter is a dancer, of course, I'm delighted about that. And so I think very deeply about how I want to express that, and I was thrilled with the video.
Nice. Would you ever write a piece of music with her in mind to dance to? Well, I suppose yes is the simplest answer, but I don't know whether that's uppermost in my mind in terms of I must write a piece. But quite often she dances to my music anyway, and she knows more about my music than I do. I mean, she'll pull back stuff I've done 10 years ago and interpret that through the medium of dance and show me and send me videos. And she is such a beautiful dancer as well. It's such a thrill to see that. So quite often I'll think about a piece of music and I'll say to her, I'd love to see a dance about that, because we've lived with dance in our family for so many years. Obviously, me working dance many years ago, and my daughter dancing on stage, since she was 4 or 5 years old. So it's and my wife being a huge dance fan as well. So we all love it. Nice. In terms of orchestration, like there's some really lush, strings in the background for this track. Like, how did you come up with that?
I guess the orchestration harks back to that sort of panoramic sense of the movie Splendor in the Grass, which I referenced earlier. And so I wanted to orchestrate in a really lush way with strings, and quite often my process is to write by hand, as if I were writing with a pen and a manuscript, but except I write on an iPad with one of those fancy pens, and then it converts it digitally, and I treat the orchestration as almost as an improvisation. So it's done in real time, and as a sort of what do they call it? Flow of consciousness, stream of consciousness, even. And so that's how it comes to live on the page, fully formed, and then I send it to someone to make it tidy, because that's how it comes. It comes really quickly, fully formed, but this needs the I's dotting and the T's crossing. But I really, really enjoy that process, and loving the orchestra as I do. I played the violin many years ago when I was a boy. Royal Academy Music as a junior. For a brief time, I studied the violin, the piano. I think before that, the oboe as well, and the cello. I concentrated obviously on the piano, and I think I got to grade 5 on the violin. I could always remember the look of sort of trepidation whenever I walked into the violin lesson room. I don't think my teacher enjoyed teaching me very much. I wasn't a very good violin student, but I love the instrument. I think it's capable of so many expressive qualities, and to hear a wonderful orchestra play, but particularly a wonderful string section, is really something to behold. And that's what I wanted to bring to bear with that particular orchestration. We had the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra play on that, and I went up to their base, and we had my engineer Andrew Dudman come from Abbey Road, and I think who else did? Mike Hatch, I think, Floating Earth, and it was just an incredible day of listening to these glorious sounds played by fabulous musicians, and seeing the piece come to life was really very special.